Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to AMC Mailbag. This is, of course, the Mailbag episode of an offshoot, kind of a spin-off, if you will, of AMC Movie Talk. You see, on AMC Movie Talk every day, we take a couple of questions from the mailbag, but you guys send us so many questions. We started this weekend mailbag show where all we do is take mailbag questions. This is a lot more of a casual show. We are just going to talk, think of it as talk radio on the YouTubes, if you will. I've got a couple of people joining me here today. First of all, he's a regular around here. He's the one and the only Mr. John Schnepp. Schnepp, how you doing, man?
What's up, everybody? Totally recovered from seeing the Wolverine super late last night with everybody. It was a fun experience.
That was late. I got home late. Also joining us today, our very special guest. She is the host of It's a Wrap Online, the movie talk show over at Clever. She is Miss Erin Darling. Erin, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm not recovered from Wolverine. Still thinking about it.
All right, folks. Well, like I said, all we do in this show is take your mailbag questions. So let's get to it. The very first mailbag question today comes from Carlos, who writes, "Big fan of your videos, you guys. You never disappoint. I know the Dark Knight trilogy is done and over with, but before the last one came out, I thought and dreamed, like a lot of fans out there, that in The Dark Knight Rises, the Joker's presence would be brought down to a minimum, with at least as much screen time as his card did in Batman Begins. It would have been epic to me to see a quick shot of the Joker sitting at the security desk of Arkham with two guards dead on the floor, watching the chaos Bane has caused. Perhaps even clapping, like he did to Commissioner Gordon. And for some strange reason, even if he didn't speak, the only person I imagined as Joker was Charlie Hunnam. What are your thoughts on Charlie Hunnam stepping up his career as Heath Ledger did? Schnepp, let's start with you. What would you have thought about just a Joker cameo in that film, and what would you think of like a Charlie Hunnam in that role?
Charlie Hunnam didn't pop into my mind at all ever until I did hearing this letter, but I really did wish that the Joker was in the end of the trilogy, because every other character that was in the first two movies, Ra's al Ghul even showed up in the trilogy. The only missing link was the Joker. I mean, even Two-Face was in there as a picture and stuff like that. So it did feel like you felt the emptiness, the missing character that the Joker brought to the middle of the trilogy. And I wish he was in there. I don't know if I would have thought a scene like that, but definitely a scene, or even more of a character. And I wish he was recast, to be honest with you, but because they recast the female character from the first movie to the second movie with Maggie Gyllenhaal from Katie Holmes. So recasting it wasn't an out of the cards, but I guess it was really Nolan who loved Heath Ledger's performance so much that he didn't want to have it recast. So,
Erin, what would you think about that?
I think it would be really cool to see an appearance from the Joker at the end of that trilogy as well. That's something that I didn't think that they would do, and it would be really hard to replace Heath Ledger, and I don't think any other actor could do it like he did. Charlie Hunnam is kind of an interesting choice. I would love to talk to this viewer and find out why Charlie Hunnam specifically, but when I think about someone who could play the Joker, there's one person that comes to mind, and I'm thinking Jason Clarke would be a great Joker if they ever wanted to recast it. I'd love to see him do that.
It's funny, I always thought, I remember back when it was still who's going to play Joker, before they ever announced Heath Ledger, I remember for years, I thought the guy to play the Joker was Crispin Glover. Now,
he'd be great.
He is the
words
Joker.
Out of my mouth. I was going to say the same thing.
He is the Joker. I mean, I mean, if the same debate started up today about who should play a new Joker, I probably wouldn't say Crispin Glover anymore. But I remember back in the day. And I can kind of get why maybe they didn't recast. I mean, I would have been totally fine if they recasted Heath Ledger's role in The Dark Knight Rises. I would have been fine with it, but I'm not really surprised because it is a bit of a different situation. I mean, with the passing of Heath Ledger and all that kind of stuff. But I did think, at least when it went to Arkham, I expected that there would be some odd camera angle, say a panning camera going down through the hall of Arkham, and just from behind the head, just a glimpse coming in on the side of the camera, a head with green hair.
Yeah.
And I thought maybe even that would have been kind of a nice nod. But one of the things that the question brings up is, could it have done this great thing? Could it do this great thing for Charlie Hunnam the way the Joker did for Heath Ledger? And I know I brought this up maybe a week or two ago, but a lot of us forget Heath Ledger wasn't that great of an actor. I mean, he was, let's put it this way. When he was on, he was on. I mean, when he was on his game, he was hitting it out of the park. But at the same, he was tragically inconsistent though, because there was a lot of movies that he was in. It's like, holy crap, this dude playing this role just mailed this one in. And I think that's part of the reason that when they announced Ledger as Joker, a lot of people were very upset. Like a lot of people didn't want this Heath Ledger guy as the Joker. And now look at us. Now it's like, no one but Heath Ledger can play the Joker. It's totally different. It's the situation's completely changed now. But I just don't see Charlie Hunnam. And we talked about this with another role before, Schnepp, that I need to see him in more outside of Sons of Anarchy to get a feel for what he's really capable of. Because right now I don't have a lot of confidence in him, but that's just because I don't think he's really had the opportunity to build a lot of confidence in me. Like if they were to announce Charlie Hunnam tomorrow, Schnepp, would you be happy with it or would you be concerned?
I would be concerned because it was fun to see Jax in Pacific Rim, but that's what you know what I'm saying. That's what we got.
That's what he felt like. Yeah, he felt like Jax in that
Pacific
movie,
Rim, which was cool. I like the character Jax. I love the show Sons of Anarchy as well, and I think he's an actor with a lot of potential. So, I mean, I'm never one to just slang an actor and just be like, oh, no way. I mean, you never know. I mean, actors are always filled with positive and negative potential. They could dump their career, or all of a sudden they're up on getting an Oscar. That's just how it is. So, who I always wanted for the Joker was Willem Dafoe. I mean, he's a little too old now, but I always, in my mind, for like 20, 30 years, even after Jack Nicholson was cast, because back then I was like, oh, he'd be a good Joker. Oh, Jack Nicholson, of course. But, yeah, I always thought he would be. And then when he was cast as Green Goblin, I was like, that makes perfect sense. And then when I saw him, I was like, why are they putting a mask on his amazing face? It's like, here you have an incredibly expressive actor who can do these maniacal faces. Let's put a stupid mask on his face so you can't see it. Anger. I'll never forget that. Worst Green Goblin in the world.
All right, let's move on to the second question. The second question comes to us from Kalia O, who writes, hey guys, I fell in love with your show from the first time I saw it months ago. John Campea is the man. Whenever I hear somebody say so-and-so is the man, all I think about is that Jim Carrey character, remember, in In Living Color, whose character's name was The Man? Who am I? I'm the man. Anyway, so as we all know by now, thanks to you guys, Batman vs. Superman is coming out in 2015. I'm so excited about it, as I'm sure all the fans are too. Now to my question. They have always cast one person to do both Batman/Bruce Wayne, but most of the actors that had played them through the years either get Batman or Bruce Wayne right. But what if instead of casting one actor, they cast two actors? One to play Bruce Wayne and one to play Batman. Wouldn't this finally be the right solution of getting them right all the way? What do you think? Thanks so much in advance, you guys all rock. Aaron? Let's start with you. Could you see a potential of casting two separate people? Because this is like, I've gotten this email a lot, actually, in the last couple of weeks. I've gotten this at least 10 times. So what do you think, Aaron? Could you cast two different people in this role?
I'm going to say no. I really don't like that idea because I think the duality of the two characters are two kind of people, and they are a little bit different. But I think that you just need to cast it right, and I think that there's people out there that could do it. And I don't want to see two different people in that role in the same movie.
Yeah, I agree. I think part of the brilliance of the Batman character is this duality that you're talking about. But I think you lose some of the power of that if it's actually played by two different guys. The fact that there is this extreme duality, but it's the same man, is what I think the closest guy who's come to really nailing Bruce Wayne and Batman best was probably Christian Bale. George Clooney was a great, more stately Bruce Wayne. I really liked, laugh if all you want, I really like Val Kilmer's Batman. I don't know why, I just really did. But going back through, I think Bale did the best job bringing the two together, but I still think there's room for improvement. I still think there's somebody out there who can nail that. But what about you, Schnepp? Is there potential in like having one guy play one role, one guy play the other?
I think that's the weirdest question I've ever heard in my entire life. And I say put a moratorium on all of these kinds of what if Spider-Man was played in one character and then he took his mask off and had a spider face as another? I don't get it.
Now, there is precedence, right? There is precedence because you had one actor in the old TV show playing Dr. Banner, and you had another actor, Lou Ferrigno, playing the Hulk. That's kind of a different situation, I know.
Right, but that's because it has to be.
There's some precedence.
Bill Bixby, all of a sudden, he's like super ripped. All of a sudden, like, how did you hide all those muscles under your... You know, it's like, I mean, this question is almost ridiculous to me because it's like, the whole idea of Batman is it is one guy, and it's like, hey, we all go to work during the day, and then when we're different people, and we go out and hang out at night with our friends. Everyone has duality. Everyone has maybe even more than duality. Triple. I can't. What's the three personalities? What would you call them?
Triality.
Triality.
I think Aaron's right. That works to me.
Triality. Well, you know that. Yeah. I can't even. It blew my mind when I read that question. I was like, why would anyone think that? Like to cast a different person as Batman. The most important.
Dude, I'm telling you though, I've gotten this from
Bruce
a bunch
Wayne.
of people this week.
What's that?
A bunch of people have emailed that question this week.
That's
actually,
such a weird. It's weird. It's just a weird off the wall question.
It is thinking outside the box. I'll give it that. But you know, I agree. I mean, we can't. The whole power of that is that it's the duality in one man. And I think you diffuse that power and cheapen it a little bit if you go with two. It's an interesting thought. I mean, and it's worth bringing up. But yeah, I wouldn't do that at all, me personally.
Yeah, the only way it would work is if it was like Hulk Batman. Or you know what
Hulk
I mean?
Batman.
Or Jekyll and Hyde Batman, where it's like, I've had this serum. Now I turn into Man Batman. You know, it's weird, you know?
All right, let's move on to the next question. And the next question today comes to us from George Magana. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, George. Hey guys, love the show. Do you guys think they could ever make a movie of Wolverine, Old Man Logan?
Yeah. Please
Aaron,
stop.
you seem excited about that. You think they could do that?
Yeah, I was thinking that exact same thing last night, and I was thinking about Hugh Jackman and how great he is and how hard it would be to find another Wolverine if and when he decides, I'm done with this, don't want to do it anymore. And I think that I would love to see him take a break from Wolverine for a while. You know, after Days of Future Past, I'm cool with him taking a break for a couple of years and coming back as Old Man Logan, because that would be amazing and so much fun to see him in that role.
You know, it's funny because we're sitting there in the theater last night. All of us were sitting there in the theater last night getting ready to watch Wolverine. And I remember overhearing you, Aaron, and you, Schnepp, actually talking about Old Man Logan.
Yeah.
And then I saw this email question. It's like, well, this is perfect timing. Schnepp, what about you? Do you think this could work? Do you think somebody could actually produce an Old Man Logan film and make it right?
Good Lord, it would be incredible. I mean, my God, that would be the perfect trilogy ending to this Wolverine madness. Because, I mean, imagine Hugh Jackman as Old Man Logan driving in that Spider-Man buggy, and he has to fight the Hick Hulk family.
Yes.
I mean, there's so much amazing stuff in that comic. It blew me away. I loved that comic book, and the artwork was incredible. I mean, just the characters. Please, Fox, or who's in charge of this property? It's Fox,
Probably
right?
Fox,
20th Century Fox. Please make Old Man Logan as your third movie and get Hugh Jackman in. You know, I would be like, don't even take a break. You know? I know you're saying, like, age him a little bit, but hey, Wolverine age is all different and weird anyway. It could be like 3 years from now. Let's do it. That's a great question.
Okay, now look, for those of you who don't know anything about Old Man Logan, the story, you're going to think I'm making this up. So it's set like 30 to 50 years in the future, something like that. And North America, the U.S. has been taken over by a cadre, if you will, of all the supervillains got together a whole long time ago and killed off all the superheroes. And now all these big major supervillains kind of divided up the U.S. and rule their own territories. And Logan is now living a quiet life. I'm not kidding. He's living a quiet life with his family on land that he rents from inbred Hulk offspring that are inbred offshoots of Dr. Banner and his cousin She-Hulk having, done the green nasty. And now there are these offshoot children that are his slumlords. And to raise rent, he goes on this mission with Hawkeye. And he ends up doing all this. And eventually the Hulk eats Wolverine. It's so weird. But and I know it sounds completely ludicrous, but it's actually at the same time, it's so cool. So if you have a chance... If you haven't had a chance yet to read it, go pick it up. Because I think as of like 2 years ago, I think it came out in like a one-issue trade.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
right?
It's all collected in trade.
Yeah, so you can get it and watch it and read it in one big collection. It's absolutely awesome. Okay, we got to move on to the next question here. And our next question right now comes to us from Carl L. And Carl L. writes, I'm a follower from France. Well, vive la France. You've got an enthralling show. Thank you so much. I'm a huge fan of Buffy/Angel universe, and I know that you guys love Joss Whedon. Buffy has been one of the most beloved TV series ever. We've heard many things about an eventual movie, but what's happening? Anything new? You are movie experts, so do you have any little information about it? I'd like to thank you all for your efforts sharing your thoughts with us movie fans. Well, thank you so much for the question, Carl. I'll start this one off. There was talk, I remember a couple of years ago, there was talk about doing a Buffy movie, but completely without Joss Whedon at all. And there was a huge uproar in the online fan community about, my Buffy includes Joss. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if it was because of the fan uproar or if it had anything to do with it, but shortly thereafter, all the rumors died. And I haven't heard word one about it since. Aaron, have you heard anything about a Buffy movie in the last couple of years?
No, I haven't. Joss is pretty busy these days, so I don't know if we're going to get one anytime in the near future. But no, I've heard no updates, no movement on that project.
Schnepp, is this something you'd even be interested in?
I think it would be the biggest box office bomb. It would make Serenity look like it made $400 million because Joss Whedon is still involved in Buffy. He just plotted out season 10 of Buffy, the comic book.
Right,
so,
in the comics, yeah.
I mean, yeah, the comic book is like following on and it's going through further seasons with Joss and his brother and a bunch of other people who were involved in the TV show writing it. And I mean, if you're a Buffy fan, you've got Buffy season 11, 12, 13, 14. They're going to keep making it as a comic book, and that's where it's going to rest. I think trying to remake it as a TV series is really a bad idea. And if anyone's going to do it or make it as a movie, they should wait 20 years. I mean, it's one of those properties that you have to really let it go. I mean, and let the creators who created it, put some distance between them. It's really one of those things, I think, because if you're not making it with Joss, it's just not going to work. So.
No, I agree. And I'm actually one of those guys who I tried. I'm not a big Buffy fan. I was actually more of an Angel fan. I really liked Angel. Angel actually hit a little bit more home to me.
Did you ever see the last season of Angel? Because we talked about that. I was like, you got to see season 5. It's incredible.
Yeah. I
did.
Best
season of television I've ever seen.
Really?
Angel season 5.
I did.
I never thought I'd say that. Yeah. I never thought I'd say that. It's incredible.
See, I think for me, the best season of television was probably the first season of Heroes. That or maybe the second season of Battlestar Galactica. But I remember the problem with the last season of Angel was that halfway through the season, Whedon was notified that the show had been canceled. Mm-hmm. So what he thought he still had a season and a half to do,
right? He
actually had to do in about 6 episodes.
Yes.
And which was all really cool until I did not like the last episode because you could tell they were just rushing to finish it off as fast as they could, which is no fault of their own.
Right.
But it did end with that one great line, I get to kill the dragon. So
yeah,
that was,
you know what? I didn't feel the rush as much as you did for the last episode. I was glad they were able to tie things up. And when I say it's my favorite season of television, I'm talking genre science fantasy television. I love Deadwood. There's all these different, seasons that I place in different areas in my brain. So I just want to clarify that for you guys.
Fair enough. All right. Our next question comes to us from Nasim, who writes, hey guys, lots of love from England. It's an international show today. Extremely addicted to the show. I was wondering what your thoughts are as to how they will portray Ultron now that Avengers 2 villain is Ultron. Do you think that they will cast Paul Bettany, the voice of Jarvis, as Ultron, go entirely CG, or cast another big name as Ultron? Always interested to hear your thoughts. Schnepp, let's start with you. What do you think?
Well, when I first saw that question, it actually made me think, wow, I hope they're not going to just use Vin Diesel as the voice of Ultron, because he was the voice of Iron Giant, and we now know he's in Avengers. And at first, all of us were like, wow, he's going to play the Vision, and then I'm like, wait a minute, I hope they're not going to make him Ultron. That's my fear. But Yeah, Iron Man creating Ultron makes perfect sense in the movie version, in the movie world of the Avengers and Iron Man. So, I mean, I know a lot of purists are like, Hank Pym created Ultron. This is, this is wrong, but it makes perfect sense. Ant-Man's going to be around. I'm sure maybe he helps Tony Stark in some way. We don't know. I don't know how they're going to fit it all together. But Paul Bettany as the voice of Ultron, since he is Jarvis, I think that makes complete sense. I hope they do it. It's a great idea.
Aaron, what about you?
To be honest, I don't know how I feel about that. And I don't really know how I feel that they're going to handle the whole Ultron situation and how they're going to portray that villain. And I'm not a complete comic book purist, but it does kind of bother me that they are wasting opportunities with this villain, I feel like, because it's a perfect opportunity to introduce Hank Pym and to introduce Ant-Man to that audience. So I'm kind of, I don't know, I'm a little bit torn about this. I didn't really think it was the best idea for a villain. I think they could have done better. So I'm not really sure how they're going to handle it. And I don't know if I have any good ideas or predictions for how they should. That's how ambivalent I am about this idea.
See, look, if the fact of the matter is, at this point, to me, Kevin Feige has earned my benefit of the doubt. But if it was anybody else other than Kevin Feige and Joss Whedon, I would be saying, this is a missed opportunity. Like, you're planning on, like, if they had said, no, we're not going to have, we just don't like Ant-Man. And we're not going to have Ant-Man in our Marvel universe. So we need to find some other device for bringing about Ultron. I'd be okay with that. It's like, okay, I mean, that's your creative decision. That's fine. But I mean, if you're having Ant-Man anyway, and he's going to be like right after Avengers, basically, he's going to be the first, I think the first film after Avengers 2, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong about that. But if you're going to have him there anyway, why not just stick to the origin story and having Pym create him? Now, that being said, I do give Whedon and Kevin Feige the benefit of the doubt, and I know they must have a plan. And you're right, Schnepp. It does make sense. In the movie universe that they've created, it does make perfect sense that Iron Man either A, purposefully creates Ultron in an attempt to build something that kind of evolves into Ultron, or B, Jarvis creates Ultron. That, the one theory I heard that I really like, actually, was this theory that Ultron actually evolves out of a discarded Iron Man suit with a slightly corrupted Jarvis software.
I love that.
That kind of evolves. And if you're going to do that, then I love the suggestion from the reader about getting Paul Bettany. I mean, I'm there because I actually love Paul Bettany as an actor. I think he's great. He can do comedy. He can do drama. I just think the dude can do just about anything. So I'd be completely down for that, me personally.
Well, here's another thing. I mean, we're also taking what they're saying for face value. They've lied to us before.
So true.
I mean, Hank Pym could be in it. He could be working with Tony Stark as his assistant, just like Bruce Banner's on Tony Stark's payroll, helping him out. We don't know what's going to happen. And so they're like, no, Hank Pym's not in it, while they're filming with Hank Pym right there, laughing and getting misinformation. And we're like, they definitely said this. So, we've been sucker punched a bunch of times on all of these movies where they're like, Talia Shire's definitely, or Talia is definitely not in the Dark Knight, and then bam, there she is. So, maybe Hank Pym is in it, and this is a setup for Ant-Man. Where, maybe the Ultron helmet is somehow he gets some of that technology to help him with, making his helmet, which is very similar looking. So who knows?
Benedict Cumberbatch is definitely not Khan. Definitely not Khan.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the final question actually for the day. And the final question comes to us from Tasha Hill, who writes, "Hey guys, love the show and I love you guys. My question is, what book, if any, do you think deserves a movie adaptation? Is there any that you really want? Thanks." Schnepp, let's start with you. You know what, Schnepp, I think you and I may have actually addressed a question very similar to this maybe about 5 or 6 months ago, but is there any particular book or novel that you'd like to really see turn into and would work on the big screen as a film?
The Confederacy of Dunces. I've been waiting for that for years, and I think that would be an incredible movie. An incredible film. Very fun, and, slapstick, Charlie Kaufman-esque, it's all there. It can be made. So,
Aaron, what about you? You got a favorite book that you'd like to see as a film?
Well, I don't know if it's my favorite, but I think it would be cool to see a black hole. The Black Hole, the graphic novel about the teenagers that get an STD. And
Ooh,
I
yeah,
think
Charles Burns. Charles
right?
Burns.
It could double as a PSA, like safe sex, everybody. It could be one of those one of those fun things that I think would be interesting, at the same time kind of dark and, like a fun teen black comedy. I think it'd be fun to see it portrayed like that.
For me, I'm going to go with one. This is one of the first novels I ever read because it was just one that my mom had kicking around and it was like 1,000 pages. But Shogun by James Clavell. And I think they made a miniseries out of it.
Yeah, it was a miniseries with Richard Chamberlain.
Back in the 80s. Yep. And it was really good. And it's basically about this English dude whose ship gets lost at sea and he ends up washing up on the shores of Japan during feudal Japan. And it's awesome. It's really awesome. It's something that you need to make a 2 or 3 parter because it is such a big, huge story. But that would be a story in a novel that I would really like to see.
Hey, John, you know why I watched that when I was a little kid, when it was on TV? Because it was called Shogun, and I had those little Shogun warrior robots. I was like, man, maybe the robots are in it. Totally wrong, kid.
And you know what excited me? You know what excited me when I was watching the thing was that the dude... what's his name in Raiders of the Lost Ark? The guy who says,
"Don't eat the grapes."
Yeah,
right?
bad dates.
Bad dates.
Sala, that's his name in the movie. In the movie, Sala is in the miniseries of Shogun. I remember being so excited because I recognized that dude. I just saw him as Sala. Mm-hmm. So there we go. All right, folks, that'll do it for us. We're all out of time. Thank you so much for joining us. I want to thank, first of all, as always, Mr. John Schnepp for being here. Schnepp, where can people find you online?
At Twitter, just on John Schnepp, my name. Same with Instagram. So follow me. I post a lot of silly pictures a lot, too. So.
I also want to thank our very special guest, the host of It's a Wrap, Miss Erin Darling. Erin, where can people find you?
You can find me at Twitter at Erin A. Darling, Facebook, Erin Darling fan page, YouTube, Erin Ashley D.
Erin Ashley D.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And thank you for being had. And thank you, guys. You can find me. I have no creativity. My name's just John Campia. On Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, whatever. That's where you can find me. Thanks for joining us. Make sure you subscribe to our channel. Click the thumbs up button. It's a good way to let us know that you appreciate what we're doing. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on Facebook. All that good stuff. Go out and see a movie tonight at The Wolverine, which is playing right now in AMC theaters. Go to www.amctheaters.com for your theater, showtime, and movie ticket information. So thanks again for joining us, guys. And remember, the most important thing about this show is certainly not what we have to say. It's what you have to say. Jump on down to the comments section below and leave your thoughts on any or all the topics that we talked about here today. So until next time, my name's John Campia for AMC Movie News, and until then, bye-bye.